All right, back to our breaking news on Trump's military takeover in Washington, D.C. This new footage just coming out last hour showing armed National Guard troops walking around downtown D.C. The first time we have seen these troops carrying arms since Trump's attempted takeover of the nation's capital. The troops have M17 pistols holstered on their hips and have a MP patch on their uniforms designating their role as military police. Texas Congressman Joaquin Castro joins us now. He sits on the House Foreign Affairs and Intelligence Committees. Congressman, it's great to have you back on the show. Your reaction to these armed guards now marching and walking in the streets of D.C.? Congressman, I feel you might be muted. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like creeping authoritarianism and creeping fascism. And it's not about safety, it's about control. And so those images are very disturbing to see in an American city. And the thing is that Donald Trump has promised now to do it in other American cities as well. And so other cities could be facing the same fate. Congress has been out of session in Washington for the month of August. And so, I haven't been there and other members of Congress haven't been there, but it's incredibly disturbing to see those images.
Congressman, let's move to foreign policy. And this morning, NBC News' Kristen Welker had a really great interview with Russia's Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov. And let's listen to that, and I want to get your response at the end of it.
You're saying there's no meeting planned right now.
Kristen, I'm awfully sorry, you're not listening. There is no meeting planned, and I'm not challenging this. Putin is ready to meet with Zelensky when the agenda would be ready for a summit. And this agenda is not ready at all.
So, Congressman, Donald Trump rolled out the red carpet and hoped that this meeting would happen, but here you have Russia's top diplomat saying that Putin is not ready to meet with Zelensky.
Yeah, I think that probably what's going on is that Vladimir Putin is just buying time because, unfortunately, right now, Russia is winning the war. They have been doing better the last several months than Ukraine has. So he feels like he's got the upper hand and he's got leverage, and he is stringing Donald Trump along. And the problem here is that President Trump has been inconsistent in terms of who he's siding with. Sometimes he makes comments that seem favorable to Ukraine. So other times he's making comments that seem favorable to Russia. And so it's unclear exactly where he's trying to get out of this whole thing. He hasn't offered any kind of security guarantees to Ukraine. And so he's left our European partners so far out of the discussions, even though they've committed billions and billions of dollars to helping Ukraine throughout this war. And so I think a lot of us, you think about the President of the United States engaging with a war criminal, somebody who's done all these bad things to the people of Ukraine, but you also think, well, look, if this thing's going to end, then the sides have to talk to each other. Unfortunately, that negotiation, what happened in Alaska, was a complete bust, a complete disappointment, and so far not much ground has been made.
Let me play for you, Congressman, what J.D. Vance said today when he was asked about a recent Russian attack on an American electronics plant that actually sits in western Ukraine. Watch.
Were you enraged when you learned that Russia targeted an American company based in Ukraine?
I don't like it, Kristen. I don't
process?
like it, Kristen, but this is a war, and this is why we want to stop the killing.
So he doesn't answer that he is enraged when he is asked about it. He kind of seems, he just says, I don't like it, and kind of says this is war. Your reaction to that, sir?
I'm just amazed. Russia is one of the few countries that Donald Trump and everybody associated with his administration seems to forgive for just about anything. Russia can almost do no wrong in the eyes of Donald Trump and his administration. And that's what's so troubling about the prospect of actually the Trump administration helping to accomplish peace, is that he doesn't seem to be serious about holding Russia accountable.
I want to ask you about two election-related developments. Of course, what's happening in Texas, the president being able to get Republicans there to squeeze out 5 more seats for him, but then also saying that he's going to sign an executive order to put an end to mail-in voting around the United States. We spoke to the Secretary of State in Oregon, who pointed out that that's not legal, but that doesn't mean that this president won't try it anyway. What do you make of this administration's sort of attempted reshaping of our elections process as we head toward 2026?
I mean, it's incredibly disturbing. It's, Donald Trump himself has voted by mail before. It used to be, at least in Texas, that there were more conservatives and Republicans who voted by mail. There still are a lot of them who vote by mail. And so to me, my concern is that he's setting up a way to conduct fraudulent elections in 2026 or 2028, that he's setting up a way to cheat. That's my larger concern. And so it's very disturbing.
Congressman Castro, thank you so much for being with us tonight.